Knight of Ren, an enclave of masked warriors wielding distinct weapons for range and close quarters combat. The Knights of Ren are elite, fearsome enforcers of Kylo Ren. Hello and welcome to Centurion's Corner, and today we're reviewing Knight of Ren. And it's only just one, which is a shame really. I would love a kind of like a sort of phase to come out with maybe one or two, and then the following phase was coming out with the other lot. So just having one really is a bit shame. And there's a few other ones that I think I prefer the design of this one. But again, I'm really not a big fan of the Knights of Ren. I mean, they didn't show much up in the film. They kind of all just wimped out, and there they were, and then they weren't. And for some reason, in my head, I always thought the Knights of Ren were kind of like students of Luke Skywalker. So they weren't with Kylo Ren, you know, they went off and to make a new cult. So I always kind of thought that they was going to have lightsabers and everything like that. But unfortunately, this one comes with a bit of a weird, strange little hook thing and a blaster pistol by the looks of it. But you never know. I might change my feelings on him once I get him out of the box, so have a little look around and just see those extra details. Because again, I've only seen that movie twice, and these are kind of in and out, in the dark. So I've not really had a full look at the kind of character really, which I kind of like getting the Black Series figures, because it gives you that kind of look at detail in the palm of your hand. So here he is. We got his kind of drawing down in the corner. It looks pretty cool. It's got a nice kind of effect to it going on there. We've got the window display with the pistol and the sort of like Grim Reaper claw there. It says Knight of Ren, and in the black it says Knight-O, which is a bit strange. And then his number 105, and on the back of the box we have that picture again and his bio. So without further ado, let's crack this bad boy open. Right, so here he's in his blister pack. There's no hidden accessories. What we see is what we got. So we're just going to pull him out, have a first impression, take some photos, and then come back for a full review. It looks pretty cool in a kind of a way. Kind of feels and reminds me quickly of Commander Cobra, crossed with the sort of like the samurai from the Bruce Lee story movie. Yeah, I don't know actually. Like instantly, as soon as having this character in my figure from the box, I actually feel a little bit of love for him. But I'll go away, take some photos, and we'll see you in a moment. Hello, so welcome back. Been away taking some photos, and I kind of don't really like this character. Well, it's not the character I don't like, it's the actual figure I don't like. I think it's been a bit lazy, which we'll get those problems up in the actual review itself. But what I kind of find is, what I do like about it is this gives us, as a Star Wars kind of nerd, I suppose, it gives us that kind of opportunity to see these characters up close. You know, we've grown up with Boba Fett, Anakin Skywalker over the last 40, 20 years. So we know what their characters look like. We know what their sort of clothing's like. If I showed you the elbow of Boba Fett, you would know it'd be Boba Fett. If I showed you a boot, you would know it's Luke from A New Hope. So that's what I like these sort of Black Series figures, because it gives you a hands-on, up close and personal, in great detail, what these characters kind of look like off screen without looking at 2D images in a book, you know, and sort of things like that. So I really do like that. The other thing is that I'm a little bit worried about is with Hasbro, sort of like with The Last Jedi, it didn't do too well. You know, this is Rise of Skywalker. We've got loads of releases from Rise of Skywalker, and is this going to be the only Knight of Ren that we have? I mean, because if you lined up 100 guys dressed in black armour, I couldn't tell you which ones were the Knights of Ren. So I kind of would like the pact together, even though I'm not a massive fan of the Knights of Ren. I didn't really grow to love them in the film. They didn't really have screen time for me to enjoy. They weren't like a clan of new Mandalorian type-esque people. So I don't really care, but I would like Hasbro to finish the collection just so I can have them on the shelf. And it does worry me because Rogue One now is kind of sort of like died a death. And are we ever going to find Bodhi on our shelves? I don't know. And there's a few other characters and there's a few other cool sort of looking guys from Rogue One that maybe we won't see. But hopefully just down the line with Star Wars hopefully now stopping the movies for the next few years, we might actually get a catch up with figures that we never got and some Cantina members in, you know, some background characters for the Black series. But anyway, we're going back to this guy and I can show off my little nitpicks that I don't really like about him and what I do like about him. But anyway, it comes with two accessories. It comes with kind of like his little baton type gaffy stick type kind of scythe, I guess. It just feels really clumsy. It doesn't really hold it very well. You can't really get much kind of sort of swing action in there. So he kind of just looks like a guard most of the time. He just looks like he's holding it just ready to go. But saying that, the detail of the actual scythe itself is pretty cool. Looks like from the bottom we've got like the black wash over the silver and just got these sort of extra details, and we've got that leather strapping around that part, and there's that clip and the handle, and then it's kind of like an off sort of goldish sort of silver here, so it's got quite a lot of paint apps on there, and it kind of looks sort of rustic, kind of sort of futuristic as well in a way. So it kind of looks cool, but I just don't think it's kind of Star Warsy. It doesn't really look practical and stuff, but it looks good, you know. My other great is we got this blaster pistol, which looks fine. It looks good, and it just fits into his hand nice. I don't even remember these guys using a gun, to be honest, but just holds it up there. We can hold that to the camera. So again, it's a silver with a black wash over it, and again we've got another sort of like little leather strap around that handle there. His finger fits nicely in the trigger guard, as they always do with the Black Series figures, and it's not too bad. But I did have a problem with his holster. It's like at a slight kind of curve, and obviously I'm not seeing these guys before. I don't watch any other guys' YouTube reviews until I've started reviewing my own things, so I don't want them to influence me, and I kind of want to surprise myself with the figures. So I wasn't too sure what the holster is for. It's either for this or it's for his gun. And I know it sounds practical for the gun, but it doesn't fit in that way. And to put it in there and then to clip that over just feels, because this doesn't undo or anything, it doesn't stretch. So it really feels sort of a bit impractical. So I kind of thought, well, as it's a little bit curved, is it for the scythe? So I placed that in, and obviously it just looks pathetic. I thought it might go down a little bit further. I did try it that way, but again, it just looks stupid. But I did have to look at and reference some pictures online, just the actual pictures of the actual character, and it is for his gun. So he has these two kind of clips that go over it, but it's a really bit of a pain in the bum to get this guy here. As you can see, I'm struggling a bit. I can't get the this extra little black part up here in, and as I was struggling so much, this actually fell off the character. It actually completely popped off, so as you can see I had to re-glue it in. So I used some of my Alderite glue, which is a 2-part epoxy, so that's not going anywhere now, but unfortunately, yeah, it doesn't really sort of hold it in. So once that gun's in place, that's it. You know, he's just going to hold, that's it now. That gun's not going anywhere, and he's just going to hold that scythe now forever. So yeah, I mean, that's one of the letdowns I had with this character. And the other part really is what we're going to go into now, which is his posability. And it always bugs me. It's always the sequel characters that really, really find it hard to have posability. I don't know whether it's hard for Hasbro to kind of work out until they kind of know the characters down to a T, but it just seems really odd. So his head, fully articulated, feels really quite loose. It feels good. We've got a little bit of nod and we've got a bit of swagger on there. It can look left, it can look right, it can look up, and it can look down. and it's got a bit more of a pull on there as well, because I think he's got the lower neck movement as well. His arms, they can come fully up. We've got a rotation as well. We've got a sort of 90-degree elbow bend, wherever it's gone, there it is, and the swivel is at the elbow as well. We've got a rotation at the wrist and is on a hinge, and we've got a kind of like rotation there. It just feels like the old He-Man with it, just kind of feels like he wants to fight back and go backwards. Not much of an ab crunch on there, doesn't go anywhere which way really. And his legs, they kind of just, his legs kind of go forward there. But this one's obviously a lot hindered because his kind of clothing part's in the way. We've got the upper thigh rotation. We've only got one jointed knee at the knee here, and that is a rotation there at the boot. We've got the hinge and pivot at the ankle. So unfortunately, yeah, he just kind of just falls under that kind of like, I'm on the shelf, I'm staying on the shelf, I'm not an action figure, I'm literally just a posable statue. So he really kind of, for me, just really dropped down there. I don't know what Hasbro are kind of thinking really, because we've got this sort of really hard kind of plastic skirt that really hinders all your articulation in the legs completely. We can't go out, can't go forward. So I don't know why. I mean, obviously Kylo Ren kind of has fabric, and up here we've got this sort of harder torso area, which is like another vinyl plastic over that part as well. Never realised, but there's a butterfly hinge in there as well. There we go. So yeah, and that's kind of really where he kind of loses his kind of most of his points really. It's just in his articulation. Again, it's kind of like falls underneath the Praetorian Guard kind of thing, where it just looks okay on the shelf, but as an action figure, just plain awful. But we go through his kind of look, I guess. So yeah, I guess he kind of looks like the guy. I've only seen a few pictures of him in the dark, but I really like it. Kind of reminds me of the sort of samurai. The helmet also kind of reminds me a little bit of what Lando wore on Jabba's palace, like the back part of it. And yeah, just kind of going down into like this sort of vinyl kind of clothing, I guess that's over the top. Can't really do much with it. Obviously we've got this kind of wall looking effect on there, got this sort of embroidered part here, and we've got this mud flick over the top of the actual clothing as well. The armour sort of comes down, looks quite nice going into these sort of gauntlet parts here, so it's very sort of like ninja kind of esque there, looks quite pretty cool, and samurai. The belt itself, it's just a black belt going around with a silver buckle, and obviously we've seen the holster already, which is just a glossy black. And then again it just carries on this kind of textured kind of wool looking kind of around on his skirt, with a bit of mud flap across the back, and his legs just plain black down to his sort of shins again, with more mud splat, and also we've got a big mud splat underneath, which is kind of a bonus, I guess, for Hasbro, for putting it inside the actual skirt rather than sort of putting it anywhere else. But yeah, I mean, there he is, a Knight of Ren. I don't know his name, I just know him as Knight of Ren. I suppose I could look up and look on Google, but I guarantee by the time I come back to the camera I would have completely forgot. But that's it. I mean, this is one of the new lines that's just come out, and it's a really big letdown because we just had Dooku, we had Zori Bliss, which, wow, blew my mind, and even a few days later, like, I'm still enjoying that character. But this one, yeah, I just feel like all the attention's gone into these other characters, and this guy has been kind of really just put on the shelf and just not really thought much about. I mean, it just feels a really big letdown for this day and age of Black Series figures. So yeah, I mean, if you're a collector, you're going to get him. I think if you're, just a part-time collector, I would just say just leave him on the shelf, to be honest. Let him collect dust, because I'm sure probably further down the line you probably get him for a bit dirt cheap, to be honest. So anyway, that's brought my guide to an end for his review. You can comment down below, you can subscribe, you can comment down below if you have got this guy actually, and just tell me what you think of him, or if you like the Knights of Ren. You can follow me on Instagram, and you can like the videos. So guys, thank you so much, thank you for joining, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.